Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of Sundial by Catriona Ward. So, this is a brand new horror novel. It was published in 2022. So, I have to say, I don't think I really enjoyed this novel, and I also don't know if I actually really got this novel. So, let me just tell you a little bit about it. Our main character is called Rob, and she has a husband called Irving, and she has two young daughters called Callie and Annie. Now, she's starting to get very concerned about Callie's behaviour, so much so that she fears that Callie is going to hurt the younger daughter, Annie. So she decides to take Callie on a trip to her parental home, and it's this abandoned house in the desert where she grew up, and it's called Sundial. And I won't tell you anything more about the plot because you can just experience it for yourself. But those are our main characters that we're focusing on. And the thing that gets her very concerned about Callie's behaviour is she has pictures mounted on the wall of animals that she's drawn, but when she sees behind those pictures, the bones of the animals themselves are mounted there. So she starts to get very concerned, and there's also lots of dead animals around their home and in their general neighbourhood. So I'm not quite sure I really got what this was meant to be, if I'm being completely honest. So one part of it is we actually have a story within a story in here, which I thought initially was a really interesting idea, but I don't think it really worked. It didn't work for me anyway, and I don't think it really added anything to the story at all. So the book's told through three different perspectives. The first perspective we hear from is Rob herself, the mother. And then we have a perspective which is a story that Rob is writing. Now, I don't think she's ever going to share this story with anyone. I think she's just writing it for herself. And then the next perspective we hear from is Callie, who is the eldest daughter and the one that we're quite concerned about her behaviour. And we see between Rob in the past and we also see Rob in the present day. So we also have two timelines here as well. And the book thing, I kind of thought those extracts were a little bit pointless. So she's kind of writing about a boarding school idea, and she has lots of different characters, and it's an odd kind of situation. It's not very well written, but I think that's the point. And yeah, I feel like it's a bit meandering and it doesn't really add anything to the story. So I was sitting there going, what is actually the point of these? And one of the things she does is all of the people actually in the story, all the people in her family and all those characters, they are named in the book as well. She like reuses their names. So all the way through, I was like reading it, looking for clues and thinking, oh, is this really going to kind of, is it going to tie in somewhere near the end? But honestly, even by the end, I was just looking at those and I was just like, what was that? What was any of that? And what did that have to do with anything at all? Now, I think that's a general theme in this book for me. I was reading this story and honestly, I didn't know what was going on most of the time. We were going back and forth in time, we were going through different characters. I had no idea what was happening. But I stuck along for the ride because I just wanted to see. I just had to know what on earth is happening here and what's actually going on. So honestly, I was just kind of reading it, and then towards the end I was like, what did I just read? Like, what even is this? Now I have to say I haven't really read much horror. I am very, very new to the genre and I don't really think I like it. I've read a few horrors recently and I haven't really enjoyed any of them. So I'm just wondering if maybe horror isn't a genre for me, or perhaps I just haven't found horror books that I personally really relate to and really enjoy. So I also have a bit of a criticism in the sense that so many things in this story are just so far-fetched and so outrageous, and I just felt so unbelievable. And the whole kind of overarching idea of I have no idea what's happening in this story, and it's kind of confusing on purpose. And I also didn't think it was going to be quite this dark and this disturbing. So there really is a lot of heavy themes in here. We have child abuse, we have animal abuse, we have domestic violence. There's a lot of stuff jam-packed in here that I wasn't actually expecting. And yeah, I'm not sure, again, if it's really adding anything to the reading experience. So I think this one for me it's just going to be a 2-star read. I didn't enjoy it. I don't think it's my cup of tea. It's not awful, but I didn't really get anything out of it. And towards the end of the story, I still had so many questions that I wanted answered. I had about 3 or 4 big questions. I might say in a minute, if I don't want to give you spoilers yet. But I was just like, I need to know the answers to these questions, because this is what it's all been about, and that's what's so interesting. But we got to the end and I didn't get any answers to any of those questions. So I was just like, oh, so if we're going to leave a horror novel with an open ending, am I just going to sit there wondering about all these things? And I just felt like it just wasn't a satisfying ending for me. So I wasn't really enjoying it anyway. But then it was a bit like a punch to the gut in the end, like, I'm not even going to tell you any of those things. So all of those things, I was sitting there waiting to hear the reveals on, waiting for some big exciting twists, or, you know, something kind of exciting and big to happen. And then it was just like, no, there was no answers. So yeah, it's just not for me. I did try to read her other novel, The Last House on Needless Street, and I actually did DNF that one. But I thought, no, I definitely want to give this one a go. I want to like see it through. But yeah, I don't think it wasn't a worthwhile reading experience for me. I didn't enjoy it. I haven't gained anything from reading this story, apart from a little bit of like disappointment in the end about I have no idea what's happening. So yeah, it was a disappointing read for me. I'm just not sure if maybe this type of horror is for me. So yeah, I am going to talk about some spoilers now, because this is turning into more of a rant review, so I can't really explain it without giving some spoilers away. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, please just stop the video now and I won't ruin anything for you. Okay, so if you're still here, I can talk about the spoilers. So the big questions that I wanted answering in this story, I've got them written down. So one of the big questions was, is she Rob or is she Jack? So throughout this story, we find out that Rob actually had a sister, and we find out what happened to her sister. And I just wanted to know, which woman is she? Because all the way through we think it's Rob, but then there's so many clues that actually maybe it is Jack. And one of those big clues is that she wears contact lenses, we think. So we know for a fact that Callie says that her mum buys solution for contact lenses wearers, but neither her or the father actually wear contact lenses. So why would you do that? That's a bit odd. And that's my quick question. So I was like, is she wearing contact lenses or not? So I really wanted to know, which sister is she? Because towards the end of the book, I was just like, no, it's got to be Jack, hasn't it? She can't be Rob. And there was so much going on about when they were both pregnant at the same time, and then Rob lost her baby because Jack attacked her. I wanted to know, did Jack know that she was pregnant? Was that kind of attack hoping to cause a miscarriage, or did she not have any idea at all? I really wanted more on that, and you can obviously sit there and you can make up some ideas, but I just wanted to know for sure how kind of dark that character of Jack actually was. And one of my other big questions is about Pale Callie. So Pale Callie, is she actually a ghost? Is this a paranormal story? Or is it actually just more of Callie has so much kind of trauma, like unresolved trauma? Is she trying to, with the sister Annie, is she trying to like just understand that? So is Pale Callie just a reflection of a young girl who's had a lot of trauma in her life, and it's just her way of dealing with things? So is it more like an imaginary friend, or is it some kind of coping mechanism, or is she actually a true ghost? Is it actually truly paranormal? I was really curious about that, but yeah, we don't know about that one. Let me see my other one. Yeah. That's my big main 3 questions. Yes, is she Rob or is she Jack? Was Jack as dark as we think she was? Was she really, really violent? And then about Pale Callie. And the big question was the contact lens solution. I really wanted to know about the contact lenses. But otherwise, yeah, there was just so much in here that was just so odd, and it was so strange. I thought there was so much animal abuse, and I'm not sure how much that really added to the story. the whole kind of what they were actually trying to do, because there's so much child abuse in here as well, that both Rob and Jack obviously had unbelievably awful childhoods, and they were abused, they were kept in cages. It was shocking. And the way that the two people that like found them and like brought them up as their parents, they didn't try and contact the police. They didn't try, because you know they actually belong to somebody out there. Someone's missing two little girls, but they never contact the police, so we never know about that. They also don't contact like a traditional, like a psychiatrist or a therapist. So these girls really probably need that kind of help from the very, very beginning, underpinning them. And maybe they needed like foster home or someone that actually understood childhood trauma and maybe could help them towards that. Whereas they seem to just let one of the girls repress it and one of the girls just go off the deep end into drugs. And I just kind of thought there's so many like strange things that they did. I appreciate that they were trying to do the best for the girls as much as they could, and all of the experiments on the dogs, and I don't know, it all seemed a bit wild, and putting the concrete on their heads and changing their emotions. A lot of it, I was just sitting there going, what am I reading? Like, what is this? And I think that's the thing that I've taken away from this book. I just kind of like, what did I just read? So yeah, if you have read this book, I would love to know your thoughts on it. If you absolutely loved it, if you hated it, if you just kind of middle of the road. I think for me, I really, really didn't like it. So yeah. So thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you've liked it, and please do subscribe if you'd like to see more of me talking about books. I'll see you in my next one. Bye.